Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Debbie and I read a lot of books. And I have been binge watching Bridgerton. Obviously I watched the latest season. I want to go back to the beginning again, and I have actually now read the book that season 3 is based on, which is book 4. To be fair, there must be a different order to read them all in, because I feel like the books are completely out of order anyway, because this one jumps into like 10 years into the future. Well, at least it's referenced that Lady Whistledown has been around for like 10, 11 years. Yeah. This is Romancing Mr. Bridgerton by Julia Quinn. This cover has those two on the cover. Once you've watched something that has been adapted from a book, it is very hard to get those images out of your head. So as I was reading it, I had the actors in my head, I had Nicola's voice in my head for Penelope, and references to like Mother Featherington and like the sisters and everything. But actually in this one, I haven't even done the blurb. This is like a complete hodgepodge. This is a mess. Alright, blurb time. Everyone knows that Colin Bridgerton is the most charming man in London. Penelope Featherington has secretly adored her best friend's brother for, well, it feels like forever. After half a lifetime of watching Colin Bridgerton from afar, she thinks she knows everything about him, until she stumbles across his deepest secret, and fears she doesn't know him at all. Colin Bridgerton is tired of being thought of as nothing but an empty-headed charmer, tired of the notorious gossip columnist Lady Whistledown, who can't seem to publish an edition without mentioning him. But when Colin returns to London from a trip abroad, he discovers nothing in his life is quite the same, especially Penelope Featherington. The girl who was always simply there is suddenly the girl haunting his dreams. When he discovers that Penelope has secrets of her own, this elusive bachelor must decide, is she his biggest threat, or his promise of a happy ending? So, if anybody here watching has not watched the TV series at all, and hasn't read beyond book 3, or haven't read any of it and doesn't know all the spoilers, I will say you probably want to read this book first. Because there is stuff from the television series that I knew which wasn't revealed until this book, so I was in the know, and so it's a unique position to be in. I say unique because I'm sure there's other people who've done it in this order as well, where they've watched a series, realised they enjoyed it and decided, oh, I want to read the books, and so they know the secrets that were revealed very early on in the TV series. Did we find out in season 1 about who Whistledown was? I cannot remember, but in the TV series we know who Lady Whistledown is, whereas in the book series you don't actually find out who is behind Lacey Whistledown. In the books you don't find out who is behind Lady Whistledown until book 4, which is this one, Romancing Mr. Bridgerton. Each book focuses on a different child of the Bridgerton family and their look for love. The first book was Daphne, the second book was Anthony, book 3 was Benedict. Of the Bridgerton family, all the children are in alphabetical order from oldest to youngest. So the oldest is Anthony, and then you've got Benedict, then you've got Colin, then you've got Daphne, then you've got Eloise, then you've got Francesca, then, I did this before, is G Gregory? H is Hyacinth. So yeah, that is the order of the children. The books, it feels like the timeline is a bit all over the place, to be honest, because book 4 references Francesca's story and the fact that she has moved to Scotland, but we haven't actually seen Francesca's story in the books yet. And I don't actually know who's next. Who is book 5? Yeah, I think this is the order. So it goes The Duke and I, The Viscount Who Loved Me, An Offer from a Gentleman, Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, which is this one, book 4. Then the next one is To Sir Philip with Love. Then When He Was Wicked, then it's In His Kiss, and then On the Way to the Wedding. Sir Philip with Love is Eloise, which is interesting because in the books, at the end of book 4, you actually see Eloise actually considering getting married, where in the book so far, the idea of marriage really hasn't been something that she's been interested in. And in the television series, we haven't even got any hints of any romance on the horizon for Eloise. So it's going to be interesting going into that one, because I feel like the TV series has tried to put it back into an order that makes sense based on how the books seem to jump around timeline-wise. Some of the books that I read on Borrow Box also had an updated chapter at the very end of the books, which I think coincided with the TV series coming out, where Julia Quinn added another chapter jumping about 10 years into the future or something, and seeing them afterwards. I think one of those kind of epilogue, I was trying to figure out the right word, I think one of those epilogues does reference who is behind Lady Whistledown, but yeah, it's like an updated epilogue that wasn't in the original book, that was added by Julia Quinn after the Netflix series happened. I think at this point this is basically just a TV to book comparison. I am really enjoying these books, and I really enjoyed reading Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, and it was nice to see how faithful the TV series actually was, because I've heard kind of a bit of hit and miss from the book fans about things that were changed. But it feels like there was a lot that was actually taken from the book and put into the television series. Yes, they added things, which only make sense considering the fact that the TV series has to encompass all of them, whereas the books just focus on that one love story. You don't see the stories happening from everybody else around. It is literally, you are just focusing on those two characters and how they fall in love and everything. And what's really nice about Romancing Mr. Bridgerton is the fact that you've got two characters that have been friends for such a long time. They were childhood friends, and then suddenly one day they start, well, Colin starts looking at her in a different light, even though Penelope's kind of had a crush on him this whole time. It is just that friends to lovers is just such a really nice thing, really. Like the idea of people being friends for so long, and then one day they look at each other and go, actually, I think you are the person I'm supposed to spend the rest of my life with. I mean, when you think of like the best couple from Friends, a lot of people do like Ross and Rachel, but ultimately the heart of the show is the friendship to lovers of Monica and Chandler. It shows a relationship that will span the rest of time because you know it's got a good foundation of friendship there. I think that's what's nice about the Friends to Lovers. It's that core friendship that you know no matter what, they are friends first and foremost, and that the love came with that friendship. I'm a little romantic sap, really, aren't I? For the TV series, they expanded on other characters in regards to the idea of Penelope having another suitor on the horizon, whereas this really just focused on the idea that it is just Pen and Colin. It's Colin! I love the slight changes they did in regards to just how things were adapted, basically. Expanding on some of the characters that were already there, like in regards to like Cressida and things. Is it Cressida? Cressida? I've watched the series, I should know this. But with Cressida, in the books, her surname is Toomley, or Twoomley. But I thought that was kind of interesting, because the idea of like a tomb, just in my mind it was relating it kind of like to death in a way. Cressida is a bully, and there was something that actually I had a really interesting reaction to when it happened in the series, and I didn't realise that it was actually something taken from the book, which is when Cressida claims to be Lady Whistledown even though she's not. She just wants the money and the adoration of it all. But yeah, her surname is changed for the television series, but I think it's probably because Toomley is kind of a hard name to say, especially because it's read Twombly. Is it supposed to be Twombly? I don't know, but I kept reading it as Toombley. I do like how the television series expands on her character and gives her a proper backstory and gives you a reason as to her behaviours and her bullying nature, with the fact that she comes from a family that has bullied her in her entire life. You know, she doesn't come from a warm, loving family like the Bridgertons, and she's taken her anger out on somebody else, which obviously is never a good thing to do, but it does provide a backstory. And in the television series, you actually do kind of see a bit of a nice side to her, because she creates a friendship with Eloise, which isn't there in the books. Eloise and Cressida are not friends in the book. There is no fallout between Eloise and Penelope in the books, because the television series actually brings the secret out very early on, and makes it a part of kind of like the Whistledown mystery and brings Eloise into that story, whereas in the books Eloise is completely in the dark, so there's no reason for her to fall out with Per. I loved it, and the fact that there is references to the fact that she isn't like what you think of when you think of a leading lady. That sounds really horrible, but I don't mean it in a horrible way, because it's just like I grew up watching very, very thin women on television as leading ladies, and I always, as somebody who has been in love with performing for such a long time, I always thought of myself never as a leading lady. I felt like I didn't fit into what the idea of a leading lady is, and so I always just thought, oh, I'll be like the character actress, I'll be the friend. And having a story like this that puts somebody who does have a bit of a fuller shape into that leading lady part, it's that representation, I think, because when growing up I did not see anybody who looked like me on TV as a leading lady. That has affected like who I admire, because when I think of the actors that I do look up to in regards to their careers and the things that they have done, admittedly the first thing I think of is Victoria Wood, somebody who was a bigger woman, who embraced that and was still hilarious and heartwarming, and the fact that she wrote herself as a leading lady in Dinner Ladies, and we were totally on board with it. We didn't care what she looked like, and so it made you realise that the idea of the leading lady being like just this one shape, and it's just like anybody can fall in love. Like, it's not just the thin rich people. It makes me think of the fact that of the fantasy series that I'm reading at the moment, Paris Beaufont books, where there's a group of people at the top who think that love is only for like the rich and the famous and the beautiful, and then there's Paris there going, like, why is it that you're only focusing on those people when literally anybody can fall in love? There's the idea of having a bit more representation in regards to a fuller figured person as a leading lady. And to be honest, when I was in my early 20s, because it was after university, I actually did a short film where I was a leading lady, and it was my first on-screen kiss, and it really was a big deal for me to be cast in that role, because the fact that that film did so well on the film festival circuit, like, it won awards, and I can look back on that and just think, I was in a short film as a leading lady, and people responded to it, and they liked it, and people voted for it as a short film that they thought was beautiful. And yeah, that film was called Hello, My Name is Simon. And I will always look back on that film with such fondness, even though I was brought in at the last minute to replace someone else. These things happen, and the fact is, you know, I was still somebody on their radar. You know, they saw my audition and they had that tape lurking in the back of their mind, and they were just there going, actually, yes, we do want you. And I did that film in like a week. This has gone off on a complete tangent, but anyway, and I had such fun, and it was such a good crew and community, and you know, I think I had the whole week to lead up to that on-screen kiss. It was nice that they actually gave us a chance to get to know each other. Me and Sam, who was playing Simon, as I go off with a tangent about having bigger women in leading roles. But yeah, it's just something that you do have to deal with when you are an actor, and the things you are told about casting and how you have to fit into a look and typecasting and things. And just having somebody who is a bit bigger and still being considered beautiful. And it's just like, yeah, you are beautiful. And Nicola, who plays Penelope, is stunning. God, she is so beautiful, and she's so good, and she is so funny, and she is so heartwarming as Penelope. And also the fact that this character is somebody who has been in the shadows because nobody pays any attention to her, and actually she has got such a badass story, and the fact that she works with the fact that she is on the sidelines and nobody pays any attention to have this secret. And that's one thing about the books that I feel like I didn't really see in the TV series. When Penelope's secret comes out in the TV series, Colin is more angry about the things that Whistledown has said about him, whereas in the book he's jealous. He is jealous of Penelope and her secret, and the fact that she has something which is her life's work, whereas he needs that extra push from Penelope to the idea of actually publishing his stories and his memoirs of his travelling. So yeah, the book really plays into the jealousy that he has for Penelope, whereas on the TV series it's not jealousy, he's just angry with Whistledown. And I prefer the jealousy aspect than just being angry about what Whistledown has said about his family. Because ultimately, in the books, he is jealous because he's proud of her. He's jealous because he wants that life and he realises how proud he actually is of Penelope. In the television series, eventually it does come round to him being proud of her, but it's born out of pure anger at the fact that Whistledown has written some quite nasty things about society and his family, and the fact that his family has been a source of gossip. That side of it doesn't really come into the equation in the books. It's just pure jealousy. Whenever you see from Colin's point of view in the books, you see him realising how jealous he is of Penelope and how he needs to come to terms with that jealousy. I feel like I'm talking for ages, mainly because I went off on a complete tangent. I absolutely love this book. I do like the changes that they made for the TV series and how they just expanded upon things, and the fact that they did bring in another suitor for her when Colin is angry with her. But ultimately I do prefer the jealousy storyline rather than the pure anger just for things that Whistledown wrote, which obviously he does have a right to be angry about something like that when your family is a source of gossip. But there was just something about the jealousy that tugged on my heartstrings a bit more, and the fact that it makes him realise that he wishes he had something that Penelope has, and the way that that affects how he looks at her, and the way Penelope goes into the whole thing of just like, it feels like you're ashamed of me, and there's Colin internally going, I am not ashamed of you, I'm jealous of you, but he just can't, he doesn't have the courage to tell her that he is jealous. You know, he tries to tell her that he is not ashamed of her, but the way he treats her when he finds out makes Penelope feel like he is ashamed. And as that relationship develops, because at that point they have kissed and, you know, they have had these moments together, and yeah, I feel like I'm just doing this completely out of order. Yeah, it was lovely, it was beautiful. I'm really enjoying reading these. And so the next one I'll be reading will be To Sir Philip with Love. I love it. It is so sweet and romantic and sexy, and I love the fact that it's just going through a set of siblings and watching them grow up. Admittedly, when I think of where all the other books are going, and, you know, the fact that, you know, for the TV series, for Francesca's storyline, they've done a bit of gender swapping, which actually I'm kind of excited for, because I can read it and think about how that can be changed so that, you know, because ultimately it's showing you in the television series that Francesca is actually bi, which I think is fantastic representation there, because just assuming that of 7 siblings that, is it 7 or is it 8? Of 8 siblings, that there's not going to be at least one member of the LGBTQ community in there. I just think that the TV series has done so well in representation so far, and I can only look forward to how they're going to expand upon that. I just love it. I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, let's just bring up that front cover again for you. I just love this front cover. They both look incredible. I love it. I love it so much. But yeah, so thank you so much for watching. Yeah, so chat to me in the comments if you read the books, watched the series, if you've got any comparisons that you want to make, or if there's anything in particular that you would have liked to have seen from the book that didn't make it across. Yeah, any thoughts, chat to me. Thank you for the new subscribers. It is so lovely to see you all. I will let you know that I am getting my hair cut tomorrow. So the fringe will go back to being like a proper fringe up here and not curtain style as it is at the moment. It is the Great Yorkshire Show today, and my parents have gone to the Yorkshire Show, whereas I just needed to sleep in because I did 5 days in a row at work and I was exhausted until I stayed into bed until about 10 o'clock, and it was glorious. Especially because I've been waking up like half an hour earlier than usual this past week to get used to getting up earlier so that I could leave earlier to get to work for the Yorkshire show. I hope my parents are having a nice day at the Yorkshire show. Meanwhile, I am at home having cuddles with the cat, catching up on my washing, and probably giving my room a hoover because I think it needs it. Did you need to know all of that? No. But yeah, so thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time with another video. Mwah. Stay safe, my lovelies. I'll see you later. Bye. Tired of the notorious gossip columnist. I can't say columnist. I think one of those did actually reference who is behind Lacey. Why do I keep saying Lacey Whistledown?